You know the name. Rumi.
You look at me! Why couldn't you love me? I do! Oh!
Yay.
No more lies! Rumi, we can still fix this. Don't you get it?
The 13th century Persian poet whose words on love and longing have echoed for centuries, capturing the hearts of millions. His poetry is a global sensation, a bridge between the ancient and the modern. We picture him as a pure, enlightened mystic who floated above the messy concerns of the world. But history is never that clean. The stories we tell about our heroes are often polished until they shine, with all the grit, the politics, and the very human complications scrubbed away. What if the story of Rumi, the poet of love, is built on something far more political than we've ever been told? What if the biggest secret of his life wasn't hidden in a verse of poetry, but was engineered into his very bloodline? While we chase fleeting celebrity rumors, a shocking story of power and a disputed lineage has been hiding in plain sight for 800 years. This isn't about a secret lover or a hidden child. It's about the deliberate construction of a spiritual dynasty and a so-called paternity scandal that changes everything. Because the real scandal isn't what you think it is. The world sees Rumi as a poet of pure love. What if his family's biggest secret had nothing to do with poetry and everything to do with power? A 13th century paternity scandal involving Rumi is far more shocking than any modern drama, and it's been right there in the history books all along. We're about to uncover the truth behind the poet's disputed ancestry and a bloodline deliberately connected to the highest echelons of power. Section 1. The legend of Rumi. To get the scandal, you have to get the man. Or at least, the legend. Jalaluddin Muhammad Rumi was born around September 30th, 1207, near the city of Balkh, in what is now Afghanistan. This was a brilliant but terrifying time. The Persian world was a global hub for science and art, but it was also living under the constant shadow of the Mongol invasions. From a young age, Rumi was seen as a prodigy. Legend has it that when he was just a boy, his family fled the advancing Mongols and passed through the city of Nishapur. There, they met the famous mystical poet, Attar. Seeing young Rumi walking behind his father, Attar supposedly declared, "Here comes a sea, followed by an ocean." He saw a spiritual depth in the boy that would one day engulf the world, a prophecy that turned out to be astonishingly accurate. Rumi's family eventually settled in Konya in modern-day Turkey, which was the capital of the Seljuk Sultanate of Rum. This is where Rumi's life would truly take shape. He was a brilliant scholar and theologian. By his early 30s, he was a respected professor with thousands of students, a pillar of the establishment. He was a man of incredible intellect, but his world was one of rules and doctrines. The explosive, ecstatic poetry he's famous for, it didn't exist yet. That all changed when a mysterious wandering dervish named Shams-I Tabrizi walked into his life. Shams was a lightning bolt to the concept of Rumi's scholarship. Their meeting is one of the most famous events in mystical history. They spent weeks locked away in spiritual retreat, and when Rumi emerged, he was a new man. The sober professor was gone, replaced by a passionate, ecstatic poet, a lover of God. His followers were stunned, some were even scandalized. They felt they had lost their revered teacher and gained a madman. It was from this fire ignited by Shams that Rumi's poetry finally poured out. His famous works, the Masnavi and the Divan-i-Shams, aren't just books, they're chronicles of a soul's journey into the divine. This is the Rumi we know today, the one whose verses are tattooed on arms and quoted in wedding vows. He's become such a universal symbol of love that he feels disconnected from the messy reality of his time. But he wasn't. He was deeply tangled in a world of political intrigue and ambition. And the key to unlocking that hidden part of his life isn't his friendship with Shams. It's the man who shaped his entire world long before Shams arrived, his father. The official story of his parentage seems simple. But as we're about to see, the story behind that story is where the real intrigue lies. It's a tale not of biology, but of biography, not of a hidden affair, but of a hidden agenda. Section 2. The official story and the Sultan of Scholars on the surface, the historical record is crystal clear. Rumi's father was a man named Baha al-Din Walid. This is not up for debate. There are no competing claims, no whispers of another man. Baha al-Din was Rumi's father, a fact confirmed by everyone, including Rumi's own son, Sultan Walid, who became the first chronicler of the family's history. But just saying Baha al-Din was his father tells you almost nothing. Baha al-Din wasn't just some local preacher. He was a giant of his time, a famous theologian and a powerful mystic. He was known by an incredible title, Sultan al-Ulama, or the Sultan of the Scholars. This wasn't just a polite nickname, it was a declaration of his supreme authority in the religious world. The idealized biographies of holy men, or hagiographies, tell an amazing story about that title. According to Rumi's grandson, the Prophet Muhammad appeared in a dream to all the top scholars of Balkh on the very same night, and personally gave the title Sultan of the Scholars to Baha al-Din. The next day, hundreds of scholars who supposedly had the same dream came to pay their respects. Whether this was a real collective dream or a symbolic story, the message was clear. Baha al-Din's authority was seen as divinely approved. He was a man of huge influence and fierce conviction. I once describe him as a fearless speaker who wasn't afraid to challenge powerful rulers, including the local Shah. This outspokenness made him powerful enemies, and it might have been one of the reasons, along with the Mongol threat, that he decided to leave his home and take his family on a long journey across the Middle East. This trip became Rumi's real education. Imagine being a young boy traveling from Afghanistan through modern-day Iran, Iraq, and Syria, before finally landing in Turkey. You'd see the great cities of Baghdad and Damascus. You'd be exposed to a whirlwind of cultures and ideas, all while being taught by your father, the Sultan of Scholars. His father was his main teacher, shaping his entire worldview. In fact, Baha al-Din's own book of spiritual thoughts, the Ma'arif, is considered the single most important influence on Rumi's work, besides the Quran itself. When Baha al-Din died in 1231, Rumi inherited his father's job and his spiritual mantle. So we have a clear lineage, a world-famous poet who is the son of an equally famous theologian. No biological mystery, no question of paternity. Case closed, right? Not at all. Because we've been looking for the wrong scandal. The scandal isn't about who Rumi's father was. It's about who his father was claimed to be. The secret isn't in a bedroom, it's in a genealogy, a family tree that was designed to stretch back centuries and connect Rumi's family to the absolute peak of Islamic power. Section 3. The scandal everyone missed. This is the real heart of the mystery. The paternity scandal isn't about Baha al-Din Walid's identity, but about his ancestry. Certain historical accounts, especially those written by Rumi's followers and descendants, make an unbelievable claim that Rumi's family were direct descendants of Abu Bakr. If you don't know Islamic history, this is a massive deal. Abu Bakr was one of the Prophet Muhammad's closest companions, his father-in-law, and his successor. He was the first caliph of Islam, the leader of the entire Muslim community. Claiming to be his descendant in the 13th century was like a European king, claiming to be a direct descendant of one of the 12 apostles. It gave you an almost unbeatable level of spiritual and political legitimacy. This claim shows up in the writings of Rumi's own son, Sultan Walid, and was repeated by later biographers. It was a power move. In a world defined by your family history, a bloodline connecting you to the first caliph was the ultimate pedigree. It put Rumi's family into a kind of sacred aristocracy, suggesting their wisdom wasn't just earned but was an inherited right, passed down from the very beginning of Islam. And here's where the historical dispute comes in. Modern scholars are extremely skeptical of this claim. As the Encyclopedia Iranica points out, the family trees in these traditional sources don't add up. There are way too few generations to cover the 600 years between Baha al-Din and Abu Bakr. Some experts even think the lines in the manuscript that mention this descent were added later by a copyist to boost the family's prestige. Most importantly, neither Rumi nor his father ever mentioned this incredible lineage in their own writings. This is the scandal everyone missed. It's not a soap opera. It's a brilliant act of historical branding. The question isn't, was Baha al-Din secretly someone else? The real question is, why was this magnificent family tree invented for him after he was gone? The answer is in the brutal politics of the 13th century. The Islamic world was in chaos. The old caliphate in Baghdad, the symbol of Sunni Islam, was about to be wiped out by the Mongols in 1258. The whole region was a mess of warring dynasties. In a world of such profound instability, legitimacy was everything. By linking Rumi's family to Abu Bakr, his followers were making a genius political and religious statement. They were retroactively creating a spiritual dynasty. It implied Rumi's authority didn't just come from his own mystical experiences. It was an inheritance. It was a claim to a higher, purer authority in a world where all other authorities were literally crumbling to dust. Some traditions even tried to link Rumi's mother to royalty, though historians reject that for chronological reasons too. The pattern is clear. His followers worked to build him a perfect lineage, combining the highest spiritual authority with the highest worldly power. So the great Rumi paternity scandal isn't about cheating, but about biography. It's the story of how a beloved mystic's legacy was carefully polished and embellished to secure its place in a violent and uncertain world. Section 4. The legacy of a scandal. So, what does this all mean? Does uncovering the likely fabrication of Rumi's perfect lineage tarnish his legacy? Not at all. If anything, it does the opposite. It makes him more real. It pulls him out of the clouds of myth and grounds him in his own chaotic time. Understanding the scandal of his ancestry helps us appreciate what he and his father actually accomplished. Think about the world they lived in. The Mongol invasion wasn't just a war. Many saw it as the end of the world. In that storm of terror and collapse, a man like Baha al-Din Walad was a spiritual anchor. His defiance of powerful rulers was an act of incredible courage. And when he led his family across the Middle East, it was an act of survival that saved the very tradition he would pass to his son. The later creation of a noble bloodline wasn't about vanity. It was a strategic move by a community trying to survive. Rumi's son, Sultan Walid, who helped popularize this claim, was the one who organized the Mevlevi order, the whirling dervishes. He was a practical man who had to turn his father's movement into an institution that could last for centuries. In a society where lineage was everything, giving his father and grandfather a golden family tree was a crucial step. It was about ensuring the message survived. The true inheritance that passed from Baha al-Din to Rumi wasn't blood. It was spiritual. Baha al-Din's book, the Ma'arif, is filled with the kind of ecstatic, personal reflections on God that would later make his son famous. Rumi read his father's work constantly. The imagery, the ideas, the burning desire for a direct experience of the divine, it all came from his father. Shamsi Tabrizi may have been the spark that lit the fire, but Baha al-Din Walad had spent a lifetime gathering the wood. This brings us to a strange modern echo. We came looking for the Rumi paternity scandal, but our research found zero evidence of any modern controversy. The idea seems to be a phantom, a rumor of a rumor. And isn't that the perfect metaphor? We're so used to modern celebrity drama that we project that same template onto the past. We go looking for a simple, juicy story and risk missing the complicated, fascinating truth. The truth is, there was no secret lover. There was no question of who Rumi's father was. There was, however, a brilliant and courageous man named Baha al-Din Walad who navigated a collapsing world. And there was a community of followers who, trying to protect his legacy, wove a myth around his origin. The chief scandal we went looking for doesn't exist. The one we found is far more interesting. It's a story about how legends are built and how even the most spiritual figures are shaped by the very human pressures of power, politics, and survival. We started this journey looking for a scandal hidden in the 13th century. And we found one. Just not the one we expected. We didn't find a story of illicit love, but one of calculated legacy building. We didn't find a biological mystery, but a political one. The claim of descent from Abu Bakr was a tool, a brilliant piece of historical marketing designed to elevate a spiritual dynasty. But the undeniable fact is that Rumi's lineage never needed embellishing. He was the son of the Sultan of the Scholars, Baha al-Din Walad, a spiritual giant. Rumi's real bloodline was one of intellect, courage, and a profound love for the divine, an inheritance passed directly from father to son. This dive into the past shows how easily the stories we think we know can hide a much more complex truth. If you find digging up these hidden histories as fascinating as we do, subscribe to the channel. We're always uncovering forgotten stories, and you won't want to miss what's next. Let us know in the comments. Does understanding the politics behind this lineage claim change how you see Rumi?